The world has always been a dangerous place. We are witnessing this once again due to the ambitions of megalomaniacs in power in Russia, China, and yes, in the United States. We've outlined the overall strategy of the conspiracy to produce a one-world government since the founding of the John Birch Society in 1958. Many people have listened to us. Too many have not. Once again, the strategy is to produce three regional governments ruled by Russia, China, and the United States. Through the use of fear of war or actual conflict, build up the desire for peace to such an extent that the peoples of the world will fall for a one-world government ruled by maniacal people. Big Brother. We have seen such people in our lifetime. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, etc. Now Putin, Xi, and others, who shall remain unnamed in Washington. Many fail to realize these types of people also live in America, and they are also gaining American power. We have documented such people over the years, but they operate far more subtly here. They can get away with open rule in other countries. The reason they have to be more subtle here is due to our system of government and the society upon which it is based. Since America is the freest country on earth, it takes a great deal of small, incremental steps to gain the kind of power exercised in other countries. However, we are getting close to the conditions for such power to come into play. How the invasion of the Ukraine fits into this overall plan is that Russia must control all of Europe, with the possible exception of Great Britain. If you think that NATO is a deterrent to Russian aggression, think again. For too many leaders of the Western and Central Europe, as well as the European Union, are communists or so-called ex-communists. They will play the game of war to build more controls over their people. This is done through the use of fear. Already we are seeing the unification of all of Europe due to the fear of Russia. The unification of Europe under communism has long been the goal of the conspiracy. Just a couple of years ago, we have seen video of American so-called conservatives giving advice to Polish conservatives that they needed to get closer to Russia in order to counter the influence of China. We've all seen American church leaders trying to tell people that Putin was really a Christian just a few years ago. Don't ever trust these people again. Ladies and gentlemen, there has never been a split between the communist governments of Russia and China. They're not drawing closer now due to Biden's policies. The idea of a split has always been used by liberals as well as conservatives in America to fool the people in supporting one communist government over another. It was the excuse used to open up China in the first place. The idea that the policies of Biden drove China into the arms of Russia is false. They've been hugging each other since the beginning like two teenagers hiding their affection from others. Now we see another tactic used to create fear in order to control the people. The specter of atomic warfare through the threat of Putin by putting his nuclear forces on full alert. It makes no sense for Russia to use atomic bombs. If they did, it would result in the end of Russia. As tragic as it can be, America can sustain the use of atomic weapons and still function as a country. Russia and China cannot, because they do not have the vast infrastructure we have. They are backward countries when compared to the United States. While China may have a huge economy, it is based almost solely on selling goods to us. Whereas Russia has the level of the economy of our state of Texas. They depend too much on the sale of oil to exist. Stop that flow and they atrophy into nothing. Our leaders know this, yet they cater to these two countries because they're part of the plan. They pretend to be enemies, but the real enemy of them all are the American people. War is tragic. We have been at war with these communist forces since the end of World War II. We could have easily won all of these conflicts, except for the leadership stabbing our fighting men in the back. They gave the enemy the means to fight us, stopping the plans of good generals to inflict real damage to the enemy. They conceded to the enemy during the conflict when the American people got tired of a war that was bringing no results. As a recent example, our intelligence services gave intel about the Russian buildup on the Ukrainian border to the Chinese. Then the Chinese gave that intelligence information to Russia. In the case of Iraq, we won, yet snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, creating the conditions to make Iraq over into a very dangerous place for our men. Look, we even helped the Chinese develop their aircraft due to Boeing working in China. Today, we are buying over 500,000 barrels of oil each day from Russia. We are helping pay for the Russian war in the Ukraine by such a policy. And Boeing works in Russia as well, as does other companies such as General Electric and so on. The Ukrainians are putting up a fight because they know the history of their own country in relationship to that of Russia, which starved many millions of their people prior to World War II. The Russians also killed many hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians after the war with the excuse that they cooperated with the Germans. They know that the Russian leadership has no respect whatsoever for the Ukrainian people. They know that to lose could well mean a possible repeat of the devastation by Russia under Stalin as done before. The conflict in the Ukraine will benefit the false leaders in America in the long run. I believe that it will boost the support for Biden over the next few weeks. War has always seemed to do that for the entrenched leaders, at least at first. Only time will tell. The Marxists in our country are in trouble. The polls all indicate that. They need something to pull their chestnuts from the fire in the next two elections. War may be the means to do that. It's been done more than once. We hope not. We end with a reminder of the purported words of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Nothing happens in politics by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. Biden curtailed our oil supply when we were energy independent and selling oil to the world 1 year ago. Now we are dependent on Russia and are the financial resource for Russia to pay for the invasion of Ukraine. Nothing happens in politics by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. Quite simple, really. It is a conspiracy, and the important ingredient left out of every analysis by the conservative pundits. If you don't talk about conspiracy, you don't get it right. So knowing this, why have our leaders done what they have, and what is the game they are playing? For sure, it will mean nothing good for the American people.